My child, let me ask you something real quick. Have you ever been minding your own business, completely in your zone, when boom, someone suddenly takes over your thoughts? No warning, no reason. You're not stalking their socials. You're not scrolling old texts. You're not even feeling lonely. You could be washing dishes, driving down the road, or staring out the window while the rain hits the glass. And then, out of nowhere, their face pops up in your mind like they just walked into the room. And what makes it even stranger is how real it feels. Not like a faded memory, not like some random throwback. It feels sharp, alive, almost heavy. You feel it in your chest before you can explain it in your head. You might try to shrug it off and say, "My brain is just being weird." But deep down, you know that's not the whole story, because it feels less like remembering and more like being visited. Here's the truth most people don't talk about. Thoughts don't always stay locked inside the person thinking them, especially when those thoughts are loaded with emotion. Strong feelings like regret, longing, guilt, or unspoken love carry energy, and energy moves. It doesn't just sit still and behave nicely. Think of it like this. When someone throws a rock into calm water, the splash happens in one place, but the ripples travel far beyond that point. Now imagine you are the shoreline. When someone keeps thinking about you with emotional intensity, those ripples reach you whether you asked for them or not. That's why it feels sudden. That's why it feels physical. That's why your heart reacts before your logic can catch up. This isn't your imagination running wild. This is connection. Real, energetic, invisible connection. Tonight, you're starting to learn how to recognize these signs instead of brushing them off. You're beginning to understand that these moments aren't coincidences. They're signals. And the first major sign is subtle but powerful. They appear in your mind during silence. Most of the time, we think of people because something triggers it. A song comes on. A place reminds us of them. That's normal. That's surface level. But what I'm talking about hits different. It happens when your mind is calm, when there's no noise, no distraction, no searching. Suddenly, their voice, their face, their presence feels right there. Not distant, not faded, current. That's because silence lowers the volume of the world and raises the volume of truth. When your life is loud and busy, these signals get drowned out. But in stillness, the connection gets clear. That's when the bridge between your energy and theirs becomes noticeable. Their thoughts find you because you're finally quiet enough to feel them. So pause for a second and be honest with yourself. Has someone's name been looping in your head lately during those quiet moments before sleep? Or right when you wake up, when your mind hasn't fully kicked into gear yet? If that's happening, it's not random. It's resonance. Here's something even deeper. You're not thinking about them because you want to. You're thinking about them because they can't stop thinking about you. Big difference. A regular memory fades fast. A real connection changes your mood. It hits your body. It makes you feel something. Warmth, heaviness, curiosity, or that weird urge to check your phone for no reason at all. That's emotional frequency, and your mind is picking it up like an antenna. They might look distant on the outside, acting unbothered, staying quiet, but silence doesn't mean absence. In fact, the quiet ones usually have the loudest minds, and if they truly didn't care anymore, your thoughts would be quiet too, but they're not. And that tells us something important, something we're about to go even deeper into next. Because if this was just the first sign, wait until you hear what the second one feels like. My child, the second sign that someone is thinking about you hits a lot harder than a random thought popping into your mind. This one doesn't just show up in your head. It moves straight through your emotions. 1 minute you're feeling perfectly fine, maybe even in a good mood, and the next minute something shifts. No warning, no clear reason. Your chest feels heavy. Your heart feels soft. You might feel restless, emotional, or oddly exposed. And the weirdest part? These feelings don't feel like they belong to you. Nothing bad happened. Nobody upset you. Your day didn't fall apart. Yet suddenly, it's like a wave crashes into you out of nowhere. That's not weakness. That's sensitivity. And it's something deeper than mood swings. This is what we call emotional bleed-through. When someone is thinking about you intensely, especially with unresolved emotions, their inner world becomes unstable. They replay old moments. They rehash conversations. They imagine what they should have said, what they could have done differently, and what life might look like if you were still close. Those emotions don't stay neatly contained. They spill over, and because your energy is still connected to theirs, you feel it. You might suddenly feel sadness that makes no sense, or a random longing that hits you in the chest, or a sense of vulnerability that wasn't there 5 minutes ago. These emotions feel familiar, almost personal, because they're tuned to their frequency. You recognize the emotional flavor because you felt it before when you were close to them. This usually happens with unfinished emotional stories, relationships where things were left unsaid, where timing was off, where feelings existed but never got the space to breathe. When a story doesn't get closure, the mind refuses to let it go, and the heart keeps sending signals, hoping someone on the other end will feel them. The person thinking about you is likely stuck in a tug of war inside themselves. Part of them wants to reach out. Another part is terrified of rejection. Pride tells them to stay silent, but their heart refuses to shut up. That internal conflict creates intense emotional pressure, and pressure creates movement. That movement is what reaches you. You might notice that when this happens, you feel an urge to check your phone, or you suddenly wonder how they're doing, or you feel a warmth followed by a heaviness, like something is pressing gently on your heart. That's not nostalgia. That's resonance. Even if they're acting cold or distant on the outside, posting like they've moved on, laughing, living life, their inner reality might be a mess. People are really good at wearing masks, but energy doesn't wear one. Energy tells the truth every time. If they truly didn't care anymore, your emotions would stay stable. Your mind would be quiet. There would be no random waves, no sudden shifts, no unexplained heaviness. The fact that you're feeling these things is proof that the connection still has current running through it. And listen carefully. This doesn't mean you're meant to chase them. This doesn't mean you need to text them or reopen old doors. Awareness is not instruction. You're simply becoming aware of what's happening beneath the surface. Distance has a funny way of waking people up. When you're no longer easily accessible, when they can't just hear your voice or feel your presence whenever they want, reality hits harder. They start realizing what your absence actually costs them. And that realization carries weight. You feel that weight because you were once close enough to matter deeply. So when your emotions shift out of nowhere, don't panic. Don't overthink. Just notice. Ask yourself quietly, is this really mine? Because sometimes it's not. And the truth is, this emotional pull usually shows up at very specific moments in time, especially when you are starting to move forward. And that timing? That's no accident. Because the third sign explains exactly why this is happening now. My child, you might be wondering why this connection is hitting you right now. Why these thoughts, emotions, and sudden waves are showing up at this exact moment in your life. This kind of timing is almost never random. In fact, it usually means the person on the other end has reached a serious emotional crossroads. For a long time, they were able to distract themselves, work, friends, noise, new routines, anything to avoid sitting alone with their thoughts. But distraction has an expiration date. Eventually, the silence creeps in, and when it does, it forces honesty. That's when they start questioning the choices they made. That's when they finally feel the weight of your absence. Distance has a way of flipping the switch. When you're no longer right there, when they can't casually hear your voice or feel your presence, their mind starts filling that empty space with thoughts of you. That's why you often feel their energy most strongly when you are finally finding your balance. When you stop chasing, when you start healing, when you begin choosing yourself. The moment you pull your energy back, theirs rushes forward. This is a hard truth for many people to accept, but it's real. Some people don't realize your value until they feel what life is like without you in it. When you were accessible, comforting, consistent, they didn't have to reflect. But once you stepped away, emotionally or physically, they were forced to sit with what they lost. That realization is loud on the inside, even if they stay silent on the outside. You might notice that these feelings hit when you're calm, confident, or finally moving forward. That's not coincidence. Energy seeks balance. When you stop pouring into them, they start feeling the lack, and that lack pulls their focus straight toward you. Silence does not mean they've forgotten you. In fact, the people who think about you the most are often the quietest. Their silence isn't indifference. It's fear. Fear of rejection. Fear of reopening wounds. Fear of hearing that you've moved on. So instead of reaching out, they replay memories. They imagine conversations. They wonder if you still think about them too. That inner loop creates a powerful emotional charge. And because your connection is unfinished, that energy doesn't just disappear. It travels. Your heart picks it up because it recognizes the frequency. You know their emotional signature. You've felt it before. That's why it feels personal, not general. They may look perfectly fine to the world, smiling, posting, acting unbothered, but behind that image is someone questioning everything. If they truly didn't care, your mind would be quiet. No sudden thoughts, no emotional shifts, no heaviness in your chest. But here you are, feeling it. This is what happens when someone is stuck between wanting to reach out and being afraid to do so. That tension creates a spiritual pull, like an invisible thread being tugged from the other side. You feel it because the bond hasn't fully dissolved. And here's something important you need to hear. Feeling this doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're emotionally aware. Your sensitivity isn't a flaw. It's a receiver. You're tuned in because the connection mattered, and part of it still exists. But awareness doesn't mean obligation. You're not required to act. You don't need to chase clarity or force communication. This energy is informational, not demanding. It's showing you what's happening, not telling you what to do. Right now, your job is to stay grounded. Stay present in your own life. Notice the feelings without letting them pull you backward. Ask yourself honestly what this connection is teaching you. Sometimes it leads to reunion. Other times, it leads to closure and growth. And the most powerful part? You get to choose how this story continues. Because once you understand why the energy is reaching you now, the next sign reveals something even deeper. How this connection is changing them, not just you. And that's where things get real. My child, now that you understand why this energy is reaching you, let's talk about something even deeper. How this connection is actually changing them, even if you don't see it. Most people assume that if someone is thinking about you from afar, they're just stuck in the past. But it's way more than nostalgia. Their mind and heart are actively shifting because of you. And that shift is what you're picking up in your own quiet moments. When someone thinks about you repeatedly, especially with regret or longing, their thoughts start reshaping their inner world. They replay your conversations, imagine what could have been, and feel the weight of what they didn't do right. That emotional pressure forces them to reflect. They're confronting truths about themselves, about the choices they made, and about what it truly means to lose a person like you. That process is transformative, even if they never reach out. And here's the wild part. You feel it. You might notice a sudden warmth or heaviness in your chest. Maybe a specific memory flickers in your mind, or you get that urge to check your phone for no reason at all. Those sensations are not random. They're physical proof that your energy and theirs are still entwined, that your presence is still shaping their inner reality. And because of that, the connection remains alive, even across miles, even across months of silence. This is why emotional bleed-through matters. When their feelings spill over, you're essentially catching a glimpse of their internal struggle. It's like tuning into a radio station you didn't know existed, but it's playing their frequency, and you can hear it loud and clear. That's the power of unfinished emotional stories. When things were left unsaid, the energy doesn't evaporate. It lingers. It loops, and it finds its way to the person who mattered most, you. And that awareness is powerful. You see, when someone is caught in the tension of wanting to reach out but being afraid, it creates a unique spiritual pull. That pull is what you feel in your quiet moments. It's subtle, but unmistakable. A tug at your heart, a flicker of memory, a soft heaviness in your chest. And the truth is, that pull is a gift. It's letting you witness the impact you've had on someone's life. You've left a mark so strong that even absence cannot erase it. So what do you do with this knowledge? You stay grounded. You stay present in your own energy. Notice the sensations without letting them control you. Ask yourself, am I holding on to the past? Or am I simply becoming aware of what still exists? Sometimes this is about personal growth. Sometimes it's about closure. Sometimes, yes, it leads to reunion, but only when the timing is right. And here's the key. The final, most profound sign is coming up next. This one ties it all together. It's the ultimate proof that someone's thoughts are not just fleeting. They're deep, consistent, and powerful. And when you feel it, there's no denying it. Stay with me, because the fifth sign will change the way you understand invisible connections forever. My child, now we've reached the most profound sign. The one that proves someone's thoughts about you aren't fleeting or casual. This is the one that confirms the connection is alive, active, and deeply transformative. Even if they haven't said a word, even if they're posting, smiling, or acting like they've moved on, their inner world can be a storm of reflection and longing. Energy doesn't lie. What you feel, the pull, the warmth, the heaviness, is proof that the connection has a pulse. You're not imagining it. You're receiving a signal, and your heart knows it. Your sensitivity to this is part of your gift. You pick up on the invisible threads that tie people together, threads that survive silence, distance, and time. And because you're tuned into that frequency, you can feel what they can't express. That's why the pull feels so personal, so specific, so undeniable. This final sign is all about recognition. Your heart is telling you someone's thoughts about you are deep, persistent, and transformative. Whether or not they ever pick up the phone or speak these truths aloud, their energy has already reached you, and that's enough to understand the depth of this invisible bond. So here's the wisdom you carry from all of this. Notice the signals, but don't be controlled by them. Ground yourself. Feel the warmth, the heaviness, the shifts in emotion, but let them pass through you like a breeze. Acknowledge the connection, appreciate the impact you've had, and allow this awareness to strengthen your own sense of self and your understanding of human energy. Sometimes, these signs lead to reunions. Sometimes, they guide you toward closure or growth. But no matter the outcome, they confirm that connections go beyond what we see and touch. They exist in thought, energy, and spirit. You are never truly alone. And now, my child, I want you to pause for a second. Take a deep breath. Feel your heart. Did someone's face come into your mind as you read this? Did a sudden heaviness or warmth show up? That is the proof. That is the confirmation that your intuition has been right all along. That someone, somewhere, is thinking about you, not lightly, not casually, but in a way that is real, intense, and lasting. Take that awareness with you. Let it settle. Let it empower you. Let it remind you of your value and the sacred power of connection. Your energy is noticed, cherished, and alive in ways that go beyond what words can describe. And that, my child, is the quiet miracle of being remembered and loved, even in silence. If you felt that pull, that warmth, that heaviness, leave a comment below and simply type, "I feel it." Honor the connection. Honor your awareness, because feeling it is the first step to understanding the invisible threads that tie hearts together.